We're going to take a look at the top 10 eBay sales for April 2024. If you want to play at this table, you're going to need at least $16,000. Let's look at the top 10. Actually, there's a tie, so we're going to look at 11 books next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hello, panelologists. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. Check the description for links to Instagram, whatnot, eBay, email, comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Let's dive into the list. These are the top 10 comic book sales on eBay for the month of April. Actually, it's 11 sales because there was a tie for 10th, and actually those two books at number 10 are quite interesting. So let's jump into the list. Here's one of the books that was tied for number 10. Now, this is an interesting thing. This is a book from 1951. It is Detective Comics 168, the first appearance of the Red Hood, who was, this is the Joker origin story, at least for the Golden Age, for many years. 5.0 off-white to white pages. That's pretty good page quality for 1951. Let's take a closer look at this book. And it did sell. Best offer was accepted. $16,000 is what this book's sold for. And it is a sharp-looking copy. I don't know if this is a CPR candidate. I think that looks pretty much the grade that it got. And you have these cool $2.50 this sold for, probably, I don't know what, in the 1960s. Origin of Joker. This might have been actually after that. This might have been when Overstreet came out and they started recognizing the key status of comic books. If you can see that in pencil there. Actually fairly recently graded, a 437 cert number. This is a pretty cool book. Let's take a look at the 5.0 historically. Not many sales, right? And the last sale was in 2023 for $16,800. So this came very close to that. The best offer that was accepted of $16,000. I also wanted to look. There are only 153 of these on the census. And again, 50% is the top, the 5.0, I'm sorry, is the top 38.6% of the books available on the census. Not a lot of these books available. I mean, it's 1951. However, that census number 153, Detective Comics was a premier title at the time. And we're still in, superheroes were still kind of holding on. We hadn't yet gotten to Seduction of the Innocent. So, it's late Golden Age, but not very late. And it is a story that was reprinted many times throughout the Silver and Bronze Age as the Joker's origin story. But let's go to the other end of the spectrum, at least in terms of the age of the book, for the other book tied at number 10, which also sold for $16,000 on a best offer accepted. Now, both of these books, this is interesting. If we look at the Detective Comics listing, My Comic Shop, the Ultimate Fallout 4 listing, My Comic Shop. This is the Jurjevic variant. I'll talk about My Comic Shop in a minute. This is the Jurjevic variant of Ultimate Fallout 4, first Miles Morales, CGC 9.8, gone down. This was a book that sold for over $40,000 at its peak. Let's take a look at where it's been, right? I mean, look at these. And there were multiple sales over $30,000, right? It was $15,000 in February 2021, then up to $31,000, $28,800, $32,000, $40,000. 38.1, 43.2, January of last year, and then it's really tumbled. But this is a little bit of a bounce back, right? The 16,000 is the best sale since September. So I think for people that think this book was going to keep tumbling, not sure about that. Somebody got a good deal here right after Christmas for whatever this went for. But, a most recent Heritage sale was 15, and this to sell for 16, I think, is a pretty strong sale. One note about My Comic Shop. This is a helpful hint for those of you that they have a lot of listings. I mean, look, 499,000 eBay sales, but they have a lot of listings. And whenever you see and the buyers potentially left money on the table here, although they did accept best offers in both cases. If you go to their website, whatever book you see on eBay, you'll most likely find on their website cheaper, because My Comic Shop can sell it to you directly and not have to pay the eBay fees. So that's a little helpful hint. If you see something on eBay you're interested in, just jump over to My Comic Shop and comparison shop. Let's go to number 9 on our list, and it is one of the old friends, Amazing Fantasy 15 in a CGC 1.8, off-white to white pages. So let's take a look at this book. It looks like a lot of water damage over here. Something else was stuck to it. So yeah, a low grade book. I mean, is that black mold there? I'm not sure. It is kind of disgusting. That is a concern I would have. Actually, I wanted to look. Let's take a look at the cert number. I'm going to write it down. 43758. Because I want to check the grader's notes on this particular book, because I'm a little skeeved, to be honest with you. Here, 45 758 301. So I don't know if they'll get that specific on the grader's notes. Foreign paper, bottom left to front cover. We saw that. Something else was stuck to it. Heavy staple rust. That's the water damage. Heavy tears to cover. Moderate staining to cover. Pieces out of cover. So the moderate staining is caused by the water damage, but they're not specific on whether it's black mold or not. So it is what it is. Let's take a look at 1.8s historically. This one had a best offer accepted of $18,000, which is a strong sale. It bounced back from 16. Well, actually, the Heritage went for 16.2 just a little over a week after that, and it had gone for 15,000 in March. So I think this is a reasonably strong sale, especially in light of the fact I'm not sure. I don't think I would consider this a well-presenting 1.8. I think the person that bought this bought the grade and not the book particularly. That water damage and potential on the cover and the potential, the rust, the mold potential would have me a little bit wary, and I wouldn't be overpaying for that. Might be able to take that at a little bit of a discount, even in grade. Let's take a look at number 8. Number 8 are 2 raw books. And it's, where are we? There we are. It is Gobbledygook numbers 1 and 2 from Mirage Studios. And the Gobbledygook number 1 is the first appearance of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's number 1 with Fugitoid. So actually, we got a better look at number 1 over here. Not bad. Number 2 has a bunch of spine ticks. Number 1 looks better than number 2. I think we really need to see the spine. That's number 2. Number 1, that's the back cover, and you see some heavy spine stress lines there. So I don't think it's going to be high grade, but if we looked at number 1, they really don't do a great job of photographing the edges here. I mean, you can see it a little bit better here. Plenty of spine ticks. The rest of the book looks okay. So that's pretty interesting. Let's take a look at Gobbledygook number 1 in graded. Now, there's only 6 universal copies on the census. There are 19 signature series because Eastman, particularly Eastman and Laird, like to sign the books. So there's plenty of those. Probably the best comp. I don't think that book is as good as an 8.5, but still 22,000 from last year and 2 years ago, and a 5.5, 16,000, 18,200, one bid at auction. I think that's not a bad price for those. I'm not sure about number 2, but number 1 is where most of your value is. Okay, let's take a look at number 7 on the list. And it is a copy of Marvel Spotlight 5 and a CGC 9.4 white pages, the first appearance of Ghost Rider. Best offer accepted was $18,500. So a lot of glare on that. But it looks like, a nice book. It's a 9.4. What are the notes here? Sold for $19,200. That's interesting. Like the seller added a picture or something. Let's take a look at how this book is fared historically in a 9.4. Let's see. This book was, hanging out at $5,000 before pre-pandemic, and then jumps up to $25,200. That record 9.8 sale for what was it, $250,000, really pulled, especially the high grade books, up with it. And it was bounced 25 up to 30 in January 22. It's come down, but kind of leveled off. It hasn't continued to decrease. And this is an uptick sale, the 18.5, and it's in line. The last 2 sales prior to that, Heritage 19.2, an eBay fixed price of 18.5. Then a Heritage, you have to go back to last June and $15,000. So this book's been healthier, at least in this grade, since last year. First appearance of Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider character that was heavily speculated on during the boom. And of course, because of COVID and the strikes and now potentially Disney strategy, Marvel output is really slowed. So who knows when we might see Ghost Rider in the future. I think we eventually will. The question is, will it be Johnny Blaze or will it be some other Ghost Rider? Let's move up to number 6. And number 6 is a copy of Avengers number 1 in an CGC 8.0 white pages. Nice book. This sold, best offer accepted of $20,000. First appearance, of course, of the Avengers. I don't think anyone who bought this is looking for a CPR candidate based on what we're looking at here, I don't think. And the $20,000 is a strong sale. Best sale in grade since 2022. The 2 previous sales this year, 17.4 and 16.8. What if we go up a half grade point? And it is in that older slab, the slab where the page quality is not underneath the numerical grade. Look, this sold for $20,000, best offer accepted. An old Gen 1 case in an 8.5, one grade above that, sold for $18,000 this same month. And at Heritage. So I think that was a pretty strong sale for the Avengers book. So let us move to number 5 and back to an old friend, Amazing Fantasy 15. We had a 1.8 before, now a 2.0. And I also say this, Blizzard Comics, they have a lot of great books up for auction. This was an auction that ended 5 bids, $21,100. And I'm pretty sure the bidding started at like $1 or something. Oh, no, they did start at $20,000. And there was 2 guys battling back and forth for it. Marvel chipping seems to be the biggest issue on this particular copy. Up top here, some creasing as well. A 2.0 is a lower grade book. We see a lot of staple stress here. It looks like there is tape on the spine as well around the top staple. So It's a 2.0. Well, what about the historical value of a 2.0? Now, this was sold for $21,100 at auction. We see that right there. Strong sale, stronger than the last two recorded sales on auctions on eBay. So maybe a little bit of a bounce back, right? For some of these really desirable books. And of course, we've talked plenty of times. It's the first appearance of Spider-Man and so on and so forth. This is really the grail of the Silver Age. It's, a lot more common than, let's say, an Action Comics 1 or a Detective 27. There are 2,500 universal copies, another 430 signature, 834 restored, and 70 qualified, and 13 conserved. So for a total of 3,887. So copies are out there, but the demand is out there much stronger than the supply. Let's go to number 4 on the list. And number 4 is a copy of X-Men #1 in a CGC 5, the 6.5 white pages. So, yeah, a pretty nice looking book. It looks like there's some tanning on here, and there's some roughness up at the top. Has that been cleaned or pressed even? It almost looks like it has not been cleaned. I don't think this book has been cleaned, and it's very recent. I mean, look at that. That is not a book that's been cleaned. That's interesting. I wonder if somebody took this as a CPR candidate. Let's see how it fares historically in the 6.5 space. This went to auction for $22,322, better than the previous sale, which is almost a year ago, and in line with a heritage auction from June. So I think people are getting excited about the X-Men, obviously, with the animated series coming out. But the people who are going to spend $22,000 on a comic book aren't always driven by animation. But I think that someone may be driven by the possibility of upgrading this book to CPR and getting a higher grade because of that dirt and some of the other issues that may be able to cleaned up. Because this is what they bought it for 22. If we go even up to a 7, sometimes you get price compression on some books, 21.6. So they paid more than the most recent 7 back in December. But now you go to a 7.5, and a 7.5 sold a year ago for 32. You know, is it worth the CPR and trying to bump it? Because you're going to pay a considerable amount of money. You know, at even if at dealer rate, you're probably going to be paying $1,000 to get this graded. So you have to consider that into your equation. And when you buy it, you're also possibly paying sales tax. And then when you sell it, you're paying seller's fees. So you got to have, bumping it up $2,000 isn't really doing a lot financially. If you bump it up 10 grand, that could do it. Let's go to number 3 on the list, and we're into the Bronze Age. And it is a copy of Star Wars #1, the 35-cent price variant. And unlike other 35-cent price variants, which has like a 30% price variance, which it looks much different here, it doesn't look that much different. You have to be careful. They're also 35-cent reprints. So, just do your research, do your due diligence. If you come across this book and you think it's 35-cent price variant, true 35-cent price variant, and this, it's priced as a regular, wow, that can make a big difference. So this book sold for $24,999. Right there, fixed price, best offer accepted, record in grade. You have to go back to last June, 21.6. This beat that by $3,300 or $3,400. And you look back, you go to 2020, like maybe the beginning of the boom, and it's increased, nearly 150% there. So that is, wow, a strong sale. But again, how many are there on the census? There are 292, which there's for a price variant is quite a few. No 9.8s though, interestingly. 1977, not that old a book, and 2 9.6s. Let's take a look at number 2. This also has something unique to it, and it's Incredible Hulk number 1 in a CGC 4.5 off-white pages from the personal collection of Harlan Ellison. Harlan Ellison was a science fiction writer. Star Trek fans may remember him for, I forget the title of the episode now. It's slipping my mind, with Joan Collins, where Kirk goes back in time and falls in love with her, but she has to die. City on the Edge of Tomorrow. That was the title of the episode. A rather prolific science fiction author, wrote some comic book stories as well. Wrote movies, TV shows. So this is a copy of Hulk number 1. Maybe the collection of Harlan Ellison increased a little bit, but a 4.5 is chef's kiss. I mean, that is a nice grade for this book. Let's take a look at where that sits, right? If we look at a 4.5, FMV of 36,000. This book sold, best offer accepted, I think, was it the asking price? Yes, they took the asking price of $29,500. And that, I mean, what? One sold just a month ago for $37,700. This book is up and down a lot. I mean, this is not the kind of graph that you see. I mean, it jumped up. Look, it jumped up in 2022 and it stayed up. This Hulk title, these first 6 issues, specifically Hulk number 1, they've been on fire over the last couple of years from the boom. Do they still have room to correct? I don't know. The thing I do know is that if you're a Silver Age Marvel fan, this is a run that's easy to collect. 6 issues. They're expensive. All of them are expensive, but they're only 6 issues. So, like, I know, shout out DJ Lynx. He got the whole set. I think he completed that last year. And, you know, for a Hulk fan, that is really, really cool. And it is something that is attainable. You're trying to get every issue of X-Men, Avengers, Fantastic Four, Amazing Spider-Man. You'd need long boxes to keep that. This is 6 issues, nice and concise. Get them all graded and have some fun. So I think this was a pretty decent sale, but this book has been all over the place. Now let's go to number 1. And here's what's interesting about number 1. Amazing Fantasy 15, a raw restored copy. Okay. So that is, and it sold the best. It was listed for $38,700. It sold for $34,975. Let's take a closer look at the book because it is a beauty. Now it is restored. I mean, this dark up here, that doesn't look natural. You know, there's, see something here. Where is their color touch? Color touch. You can see the crease, but you can see the color above it. It looks pretty well done. It's hard to see exactly where the color touch is. And you don't see a lot of bleed through even. I mean, maybe on the edges here, I would see some dots. I would have thought I would see more bleed through on the book. Back cover looks okay. The coloring is nice. Now, let's take a look. So this has a certification of restoration services. Now, what made me a little wary of this book is it was sold out of France. We'll get to that in a minute. Restored grade, fine, very fine, 7.0. Restored for Daniel Moen. I was thinking, didn't he win like a cycling gold medal in 1972? But that was Daniel Morillon. Repaired full-length spine, replaced minor pieces. Eliminated bleed through from previous spine rule. Removed tape from IFC bottom left corner. Repaired tears on left edge back cover. Touched up scruff marks in title area background. Touched up scuffed up area front cover upper right edge. Color touched all repairs as required on covers and spine areas, or maybe that's requested. Removed stamp with DeChico on top of page 1 and left side of inside front cover. Added end to upper left front cover. Wow. Reinforced lower staple holes, first wrap and centerfold, satin finish, FCBC. So they did a ton of stuff to this. Right? This was, and so take it for what it is, right? Is you know, if it, you do have buyer protection, but you're spending well over $30,000. So they do explain here. Please see the certificate of Mike Nicastre, the restorer. No trimming, no major pieces added. So the no trimming is good, but it looks to me, let's see what, it's not graded, right? But restoration includes repaired spine, replaced minor pieces, tear seals, color, touch, removal of stamp and tape, reinforced. Now, two of the things, in terms of the abbreviations and the terminology he used that really had me, that one of them I know can't be undone. Satin finish, front cover, back cover. It was reglossed. I don't know of a method of removing that. And even, some of the comic book conservators have been kind of stymied on that, if you know anything different. Now, added end to upper left front cover. That's interesting, right? So what do they mean? Upper left front cover, added end. Is it one of the words? End. No, none of the words. Upper left front cover. Is that? I want to take a look at. Let's take a look at a picture of this. And I'm kind of really going down a rabbit hole with this one. But I always find it most interesting to look at the raw books here. It's what it is. So I want to take a look at this. And I also, because sold out of France, I don't know what they mean by end. I don't think there's anything in there. UK price variant. No, it wasn't the UK price variant. I thought maybe, just maybe, that, yeah, because they did a completely different cover, in terms of the pricing and the numbering. But yeah, I'm not sure what that added end means, because it looks like they have it in quotes, right? Added IND period to upper left front cover. Anybody has an idea what they're talking about? Let me know. I just thought maybe in his word bubble, but there's the IND does not appear in consecutive order. Let me know what you think that means. I am a little bit uncertain. Now, I haven't even talked about how what this is worth, right? So let's say it's a 7.0 restored. Pretty heavy restoration. It's reglossed. So it's restored. Period. End of story. I don't think you can unregloss a book, right? Or as the terminology that they used here. And again, see, this is located in Bedarides, France. Satin finish, front cover, back cover. That has to mean reinforced lower staple holes, first wrap and centerfold. Upper left front cover. Don't know. And they removed some sort of stamp from the inside, the page one. I don't see remnants of that. Not a high quality scan though. So let's take a look at this book. We got plenty of them here. So here's Amazing Fantasy 15. Let's say a 7.0 restored, right? What does that sell for? I mean, a 7.0 sells for well over $100,000. What about a restored 7.0? If that's what it is, I mean, this is heavily restored. 7.0, $40,000 last year. So that doesn't look like that bad a deal. But a 6.0 only $14,000. A 9.0 last year, $34,000. So we're kind of all over the place. Even 9.2 last year, $31,000. So it depends on the level of restoration of what folks think who might be potential buyers, and if you get this slabbed up. So we had some interesting books. And again, I always like to look at those raw books. These are books that I think most collectors would love to have a bunch of these in their collection. I own a copy of one of them. Yeah, I own a Marvel Spotlight 5. It is not a 9.4, though. So let me know what you think of the books on this list. What do you think about that Amazing Fantasy 15 Restored? And again, you could check these books. They're still on eBay, so you could check them out if you want to dive in a little deeper. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And what grade do you think that AF-15 would get when it comes back? So I'd like to thank you all for stopping by. You can take a look at a couple of my other videos. Where are they? Over here. It's late. I'm confused. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.